Good day. This is a virtual presentation for a paper under the area Studies on Education. The title of this paper is Alignment of Civil Engineering Technology Graduate Attributes, Employer, Graduate and Actual Performance. I am Yong Zimi, the first author for this paper from the Faculty of Engineering Technology, University Tun Hussein On, Malaysia. This paper consists of 4 parts: introduction, data collection, results analysis and discussions, and also the conclusion. The program being studied is a bachelor's degree program called the Bachelor's Degree of Civil Engineering Technology, specializing in environment, which is an honours program which has achieved accreditation under the Sydney Accord. Thus, the program learning outcomes are as stipulated as in the accreditation manual. The program learning outcomes are set at the inception of the program, but only measure after the students has completed 4 years of the program. Thus, this paper measures the program learning outcomes attained by students enrolled in the year 2013, which are the very first batch of graduates for this program. The keywords of the program learning outcomes are as shown in figure 1. The learning outcomes that the students have to attain are knowledge, practical skills, communication skills, critical thinking problem solving, team working skills, lifelong learning, entrepreneurship, ethics, and also leadership skills. So how are the program learning outcomes measured? In this paper, there are 3 tools used to measure the attainment of the program learning outcomes. The average value from the data collected are presented and compared with each other. The first tool are actually the graduate marks. The marks are given by the lecturers throughout the 4 years study in the university. The marks are collected through an internally developed system called the OBE-SYS. The second tool is an exit survey. The exit survey is given to the graduates immediately after they finish their 4 years study. It is a perception of their own attainment of the program learning outcomes. The third tool is another survey. This time is a survey for the employers of the graduates at the end of their industrial training. The industrial training takes place at the end of the 4 years study. So at the end of the industrial training signify also the end of their 4 years study. The survey is done by faculty members by interviewing the employers during the industrial visit to the industry to evaluate the students of the industrial training. The triangulation of the 3 tools are as shown in figure 1. For the very first batch of this program, there are 29 students. All 29 students' marks were averaged and presented in this paper. Of those students who graduated, 22 of them participated in the survey of self-perceptions of their learning outcomes attainment. And finally, around 18 employers or supervisors were successfully interviewed, and the results will be shown in this paper. This is figure 1. It shows the 3 tools triangulated to measure the program learning outcome attainment. Here are the results. The data is plotted based on percentage of attainment of each of the PLO. The green representing the employer's perception. The red represents the graduate's perception. The blue represents the marks after 4 years of studies. And the yellow represents the key performing index, which is set at 60%. Overall, even though the KPI was set at 60%, all outcomes were achieved according to the students, according to the industry, and as well as the actual assessment. All except PLO 4, which is critical thinking, problem solving and routine design. The actual assessment, which is the marks, was 59.09%, falling slightly short under the key performance index. This slight difference can be attributed to a few factors. Number one, the students were unclear of the critical thinking problem solving they were undergoing when given certain tasks during the 4 years of study. Number two, the graduate equate critical thinking and problem solving skills to the experience they have in the field, which they have very little, of course. Number three, graduates were diffident on this supposedly more challenging element. They were not confident. That's why they self-rate themselves as having a lower attainment of this learning outcome. And finally, number four, the graduates judged that the program or the lecturers did not prepare them enough for this skill. Therefore, PLO 4 requires careful review in terms of tasks and activities assigned in the classes, during the guidance sessions, and monitoring as well as the assessment for this learning outcome. It is interesting to note that the industry rated the highest attainment for all the program learning outcomes as compared to the students' self-review and their actual performance throughout the 4 years program. Indeed, the industry reckons that the fundamental knowledge was enough by giving 100% rating for PLO 1. Also, as most new employees would undergo in-house training to suit the specific industrial needs, the employers apparently applaud the students' lifelong learning abilities and the resourcefulness of them by giving 100% to PLO 6, their lifelong learning skills. Interestingly enough, entrepreneurship skills, PLO 7, was also rated 83.33% by employers. It may be arguable that being enterprising is not a critical skill for a new recruit, but positive traits and related sub-skills to being entrepreneurial, like being earnest, diligent, committed, and responsive, are undeniably favorable among employers. While graduates generally perceive themselves modestly in comparison to their actual performances or of what their employers think of them, the single component in which graduates think they have outdone themselves was PLO 1, knowledge. This was a little surprising, as the graduates rated themselves about 23% higher than their actual achievement, which were found from the academic records, yet encouraging as they seemed self-assured of their readiness for the industry upon graduation. It is also a sign that the program delivery could have been too successful in terms of curriculum and content provision. For PLO 2, which are practical skills, PLO 5, team working skills, and PLO 8, their ethical values, both the students' actual performance and also their self-rating, the blue and red respectively, are found to be almost the same. PLO 2, which is practical skills, which involve laboratory work, workshop sessions, field work such as land survey, sampling, etc., which constitute to an important part in their very much hands-on engineering technology program. As for team working skills, most tasks being assigned as group work has contributed to the particular set of skills development. Compatibility between the measured and self-rated attainment levels spoke positively of the program intended outcome meeting the students' expectation and aspirations. Nevertheless, some learning outcomes were thought to be not as highly attained as the measured performance by the OBE-SIS. They are the PLO3, the communication skills, the PLO4, the critical thinking, problem solving and routine design skills, and also 9 leadership skills. In retrospect, this resounded with the industry's perception and the lowest rating for PLO 4 and PLO 9. PLO 3 communication skills, including written and oral forms, were rigorously embedded in every course to hone the student's ability to interface with others, particularly in a professional context. However, the skill development process was often hampered by the individual temperament of the students. For example, excessive shyness could prevent active participation of a student in such exercise, or lack of language proficiency could hamper a student's willingness to partake in a group written report. It follows that communication skills development require more than prescribed general tasks, which leave the more reserved students behind. That would be the end of the results analysis and discussions. Conclusions. Overall, the very first batch of graduates of the program, Bachelor's Degree of Civil Engineering Technology, specializing in environment, the PLO attainment is compatible and satisfactory from the students, industry, and its actual performance. PLO 4, critical thinking and problem-solving skills, seem vaguely acquired by the graduates due to reasons elaborated earlier. Future tasks assigned with this targeted learning outcome should be more clearly defined for the future students, with suitable guidelines and monitoring in the process. Finally, and interestingly, comparison between the students' perception and the actual performance show that many of the learning outcomes to be rated lower than their actual attainment. With that, thank you. These are the references for the paper. Any questions can be directed to the email given here. Thank you.